The latest home price data to come out from CoreLogic Case-Shiller Home Price Index showed that home prices nationwide have gone up 0.8% year over year as of April. Remember, the May CPI report came out at 4.2%. We just got the PPE numbers today or yesterday, whatever it was, and that was 4.1% inflation, guys. And home prices went up 0.8%, which means when adjusted for inflation, home prices are effectively going negative. They keep trying to use this narrative and scare people and say home prices continue to go up, up, and up. And that's the median home price. That's based mostly on homes that are selling at $750,000 and above, because that's where the lion's share of home sales are taking place over the past couple years in this market. So that keeps that median figure climbing, even though it doesn't represent the full picture. And then it doesn't account for inflation, which is probably the most important aspect to all of this, because inflation is what determines how much of anything people can afford, including housing. This is actually good news, guys. The fact that home prices are now rising at a much slower rate than inflation is good news for anybody who hasn't bought a house. The bad news about that is that inflation makes everything in your life cost more, so it can make it more difficult to save up enough to become a homeowner. That's why I'm always telling people that you need to eliminate your debts, and at the same time, you need to find ways to increase your income, even if it's only a few $100s a month. Because if you're able to eliminate $300 a month in debt and increase your income $300 a month, you just created $600 a month of extra money for yourself, which is over $7,000 per year, which will massively increase your chances of being able to save for a house or meet any other financial goal you might have. And here's the other thing, guys, this is not new. Inflation-adjusted home values have actually been coming down for 11 consecutive months now. And during that same time frame, what has the mainstream media been telling you? Oh, home prices continue to go up. Oh, the market is still high, even though home buyer demand is low. Somehow the home prices continue to go up. It is all a fabricated lie, using some truth, because it is true that median home prices continue to go up, but they don't talk about how they continue to go up. They don't talk about that 50% of the home sales are happening in the $750,000 price range and above, which massively skews that median home price data. They don't talk about how inflation has been rising at a much faster clip than home prices themselves. They just want you to hear that prices are going up, and therefore you should probably buy before you can't afford to anymore. And this is what I've been telling people. I'm trying to hammer this into people's brains so everyone who watches my video understands this, okay? You might not see home prices fall the 40 to 50% that we did back in 2008 simply because we didn't have the inflation that we had back then, okay? But you might see 20% price drops, and then when accounting for all the inflation happening at the same time, that can equal a 40 to 50% price drop in real terms, just not in nominal terms. And that's one fundamental difference from the housing crash that's happening right now versus the housing crash that happened in 2008. It's not exactly the same. It doesn't look exactly the same on paper, but it sure does rhyme. And the end results are going to be basically the same, even if we get there in a slightly different way. And today I'm walking down Blackfield Drive and Clare Way here in Tiburon, California. And so going back to our Harvard study, guys, this is one of the main reasons also why most people are not going to be able to become homeowners. Unless you are doing what I'm telling you to do and reducing debts and increasing income and living below your means, the chances of you being able to become a homeowner are not looking too good right now. And obviously there's other factors involved, like the job market is one of the worst job markets any of us have ever seen in our lifetime. There's so many jobs being lost, so few being created. The jobs that do exist oftentimes do not have adequate pay to keep up with today's cost of living. But the good news about all of this, though, is that this crash is actually happening on a slower time frame, which gives you more time to figure out your next move. You know, things are not happening as fast as they did in 2008 because we don't have a sudden catalyst to make home prices go down as fast as they did back then. But because they're coming down slower but more steadily and consistently, and inflation continues to outpace any sort of growth in the market, that works in your favor as a would-be buyer in the future, somebody who aspires to still become a homeowner. And all of the trends that we see in the housing market are all working in your favor, guys. Mortgage rates are staying steady, which means a lot of people aren't buying. Prices are coming down slowly, which also means a lot of people aren't buying because they can't afford at these prices. The job market is terrible, which also lowers competition. And we continue to see inventory go up, which increases competition among sellers and causes larger and larger price cuts for sellers who are actually serious about selling, all of which work in your favor as a potential home buyer. Now, if you don't want to wait 65 years to save up enough money for a down payment to buy a home, then you definitely don't want to live in a place like New York City, for example, because that's where it takes that long to save up for that down payment. In fact, there are markets across the country right now where it's actually becoming a good time to become a homeowner and home buyer again right now. Places like Detroit, Michigan, and Warren, Michigan. A median household income there who saves 5% annually can save up a median-sized down payment for a starter home in under 4 years, according to Rocket Mortgage. 4 years, guys, starting from nothing in Warren, Michigan and Detroit, Michigan to save up to become a homeowner. That's pretty good. In cities like Indianapolis, Milwaukee, Virginia Beach, Fort Worth, Texas, Jacksonville, Florida, you can do it in under 5 years. And these areas, a lot of these places have seen prices come down, not necessarily in the Midwest markets like Indianapolis and Milwaukee, but over there, the price increases are slowing down dramatically, and you don't need to earn nearly as much to buy a house there because home prices in those areas are still relatively low compared to more expensive areas of the country. They use the Warren, Michigan as the most affordable example. They say that over there, you only actually need 3.1 years in order to buy a house that costs $176,000 if you put 5% down, and that's an $8,800 down payment. Now, one thing I will warn you about is 5% down is not the greatest idea because you are still going to be paying private mortgage insurance, but 5% down is the minimum kind of that you would have to put down in order to not get an FHA loan and go with a conventional loan on the property. So technically, yes, you can save up enough to get into the house, guys, but you have to remember, look at everything we just talked about. On average, homeowners right now are paying $21,000 per year in addition to their mortgage payments just to be able to maintain the house. And if you cannot afford that, you have no business becoming a homeowner. That's just real talk. If saving $9,000 took you 3 years and that's all the money you got left, and you buy the house and now you're broke, you're setting yourself up for financial ruin. You need to have extra money saved in addition to that. So that's why these numbers don't tell the full picture, but at least it gives you an idea of where housing is still relatively affordable compared to the amount of money that people make. So it's a starting point if you want to live somewhere like that. In a lot of the southern United States and a lot of the Midwest parts of the United States, these are the best regions in general when it comes to affordability. The Northeast and the western parts of the country are generally the worst. Like if you're living in San Francisco, guys, it can take you 57 years to save up a down payment. It can take you 41 years if you live in Los Angeles. If you're in one of these places and you're sitting there complaining, I can't afford to buy a house, it might be time to start thinking about moving somewhere else. Because a lot of people are doing that if their priorities are family and home ownership. You know, last year, the median home buyer put down 10% down for their down payment, which still puts you in the category where you need to pay private mortgage insurance, which increases your monthly payment, and so does the fact that you are borrowing more money. So yeah, it might be nice to get into the house with less money down, but you pay for it in other ways, guys. You're never gonna see those PMI payments back. That's gone forever, money you'll never see again. And the more money you borrow, the higher your monthly payment is. But it's up to you to make the decision. Do I get into the house and buy it now while I can, while the opportunity's there, even though I'm putting down a lower down payment? Or do I wait and save until I'm more financially secure? Only you can decide that for yourself. The vast majority of people obviously choose the first option and go with getting into the house while they can, and they kind of just figure everything out later. But when you look at the amount of foreclosures that are spiking right now, that doesn't work out too well for a lot of folks, guys. You know, affording a house cannot be an afterthought. I don't recommend you take that approach, but I am not here to tell you what to do with your life. I am just outlining what's actually happening and how things typically go down for people. You use that information to make your own decision. But I will tell you that things are only getting better right now, month after month, every single month. The new housing data comes out. It's looking better and better for home buyers and worse for home sellers. So you might want to start figuring out your game plan to buy a house, guys, because your chance could be here now or it could be coming in the next few years. And remember, if you need help with buying or selling a house, I can set you up with a real estate agent. It's 100% free. All you have to do is use my link down in the description below and fill out a quick form, and somebody from my team will contact you ASAP. If you use it, not only does it help you, but it helps the channel, and I appreciate it. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.